everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to my series of my favorite games from my favorite designers. Today we're talking about Bruno Faidutti. Bruno is one of the many Brunos in game design. Probably him and Bruno Catala are the best known, and in fact some of the games on this list were co-designed with Bruno Catala. But Bruno Faidutti, I first noticed him when I first got into more modern board gaming when I played Citadels. He's very much, that's still probably his most well-known game. He is a man who likes chaos in his games. He's made a few games that are straight abstract strategy. You don't see many of those in his favorite games. I don't think he's particularly as good at that. His stuff, I think, is best. He just adds that tinge of chaos into games. So anyway, let's not drag this out. Let's talk about my 10 favorite games from Mr. Faidutti. First, we have Key Largo. So Key Largo, a co-design that he did, but Key Largo, the idea of this was a reworking of a much older game. The original designer of this passed away, and they remade this. And I mean, there's some aspect of me likes this because I live 30 minutes from Key Largo. But the idea of going out and diving into wrecks of ships, and you can decide basically how deep you want to dive. There's like monsters and stuff. This is a light family weight style game, but one I think that is worth checking out. Number 9 is Castle. So Castle was part of the Blue Box series. Descartes, for a while, had a little series called the Blue Box series, in which there's, many games, some of them more popular than others, but I always found these games to be interesting. They were kind of my first introduction to French-style chaotic games. Castle is an interesting game because it plays 2 to 6, but plays very differently at 2 than it does at 6. In fact, I think 2 is the most strategic, my favorite way to play it. But essentially, you're just trying to get rid of cards out of your hand. And when you put cards in the castle or on the castle walls or outside the castle, they sometimes cause cards to go back into other people's hands, or maybe cards to go back in your hand, and you're just trying to get rid of them. A simple concept, but one that I enjoy. Number 8 is Greedy Kingdoms, another really good 2-player game. And this game does something I like in games, which is that whole simultaneously selection process where I'm trying to outthink you. If you play this card, I'll play this card, and then you get more cards to play. A simple little game that I think is worth hunting down. Number 7, I mentioned this in my Bruno Catala list, and that is Raptor, a 2-player game in which one person is Mama Raptor, protecting your babies. The other person is scientist, trying to capture them and not get eaten by the raptor. Strategic, but special powers and stuff, which is Bruno's specialty, worth checking out. Number 6 is Fist of Dragonstones, one of the first games that put Days of Wonder on the map. In this, a game in which you are betting, an auction game, where you're betting to win different characters, trying to get different gems from these characters and such, so different Dragonstones that you can turn them in to get points. Really beautiful components. They remade this from Stronghold. I think it's worth your while probably to get the original copy, although the remade version has more stuff in it. But there's tons of different characters that you're bidding on, and most of these characters have unique and weird powers, which again is Bruno Faidutti's specialty. Number 5 is possibly his most popular game, and I already mentioned this one, Citadels. Citadels, still a classic game, still a game a lot of people play, in which you are selecting a role from a selection of roles and trying to guess what other people have the roles. The assassin can kill one other role, except you don't know what role is. The king gets to go first. The thief is stealing from somebody else at the table, and all these roles interact. In this game, such a popular game from when it came out. Over 20 years later, still one of the games that people are consistently buying and playing. Number 4 is Mission Red Planet, another co-design with Bruno Catala. Mission Red Planet. So I don't know who designed what part of the game, but I'm pretty sure Catala had the pretty cool area control where you went up to you're sending spaceships up to Mars and controlling different parts of Mars. But also each turn you play a card from your hand, or you can play one card that puts them all back in your hand, and that card gives you a special power and lets you put a number of people on the ships, and that feels like that's the Faidutti part of the game. Very entertaining, a lot of trying to outguess the other person. Number 3 is Dragon's Gold. Dragon's Gold is another game in the Blue Box series. This one has been remade several times. This is a game in which you are adventurers hunting down dragons, but that's not the game at all, because you're going to kill the dragons. Once a dragon's dead, though, you split the loot. The dragon's loot is never clean. There's all kinds of different coins and gems that mean different things, and you have a certain amount of time to, with everyone else who helped fight the dragon at all, decide how the loot split. If you cannot come to a conclusion, no one gets anything. You can't make future deals, past deals. Right now, how are we going to split this? I love it. Number 2, a co-design that Bruno Faidutti did with Alan Moon, and that is Ink and Gold. Ink and Gold, a push your luck style game, possibly the push your luck style game, in which you are going into a cave, and how far are you going to go into that cave before you run and keep everything, or you can go in farther and possibly lose everything. That's the whole game. But it plays with large amounts of people, and for that I like it. And then my number 1 favorite game from Bruno Faidutti, which was a co-design he did with Leo Calavini, who has almost no theme in games. But for some reason I love this combo, and this is Vabank. Vabank is a game I play at almost every convention, where you are all just moving around different tables and casinos and trying to double the amount of money at a table, to cheat and steal that money from other people. It is the ultimate game in trying to read other people and bluff other people. So much fun, and it works really well for 6 players. I love it so very much. So those are my favorite Bruno Faidutti games. What are yours? Tell me in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching my favorite games for my favorite designers.